Hey, 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 it's Tuesday Tea with D. You know what day it is. Hey, 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 it's Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. It's Tuesday Tea with D. Yes, yes, Tuesday Tea with D. 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 Hey, it's your girl, Detra Trueheart, your life purpose generator, purpose provoker, and iSpeaklife mentor with our last Tuesday Tea with D of 2022. Like, can you believe it? I can't. Like, we literally have been doing this thing just about all year long, right? And we've been back flowing since September, but I think we had some remixes going on over the summer. And so I am excited to be able to close this year out. And I'm also even more excited to start the new year, God willing, with you. So before we get started, let me just take a little sip of the tea. It's good. It's good. This is my tropical green tea today with some honey and lemon in it. And so this week we're talking all about reflections. And so although I may seem extremely upbeat, I want to just really talk a little bit this week about reflections and just taking stock of this year, taking stock of our experiences, the highs, the lows, the mids, all the things, because this year has literally flown by, right? And so this week's tea is brought to you by two segments, which I talked about last week. The first is I Speak Life Live 2023. Tickets are still available until Friday, depending upon when you are watching this. Friday, December 30th, 2022. You get a chance to get pre-sale tickets at a pre-sale rate. And when the tickets expire on Friday, then you'll have to wait until 2023 to get them at the early bird rate when I release them sometime in 2023. And so I've been listening to the testimonials and just even like the event surveys, and I just am really excited and sometimes like even just like taken aback of the experience and what the women took away from that experience back in December and really a few weeks ago. And I really want you to be there. Like, there were breakthroughs, there was transformation, there were lots of hugs and encouragement. Um, and really just even just community, right? The women connecting, seeing each other for the first time. And like it's been 2, 3, 4 years. Some of them have been a part of my community for a long time, and this is their first time meeting. Some who had been with me the last 2 years virtually. And so this was their first time meeting in person. And so you know how that goes, like, oh my God. And so that was really good. And so I know that next year is going to be even more amazing, and I want you in the room. And so make sure that you take advantage. If there's a link anywhere around this video, I want you to take advantage of checking it out, getting your ticket, because I want you there. The other thing that I want to remind you of is starting January 1st, we are kicking off 21 days of prayer, which is going to be every night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have 21 days, 21 speakers, and this year's theme is Full Throttle, Stop Stalling. Full Throttle, Stop Stalling. And so that is those are the two sponsors for this week's tea. And so I'm excited about 21 days of prayer as well. This is the second year that we've done it. We took a break last year, and so God gave me the go to do it for 2023. And I'm really, really excited about it because I feel like there has been a shift that has been taking place. And so as we transition into today's conversation around reflections for Tuesday Tea with D, one of the things that I would love for you to do is keep my city and my area, Buffalo, New York, Western New York, in prayer. We are still in the midst of a winter snowstorm. It is literally snowing as we speak again. And we were without power for a little over 48 hours. Luckily, we had a gas stove to keep us warm. But there are a lot of families who literally, I believe, are still without power or heat and ended up having to go and kind of bunk up with other neighbors and family members. We've had upwards of, I think it's like close to 30 deaths due to this storm. And so when I talk about reflections, part of that also has to do with the experience that we had over the weekend, because we had winds that were like 60 to 70 miles per hour. And it was, it's cool when the electricity is on, but then, and it's okay, like within like the first couple of hours, but then when 24 hours hits, and then when 48 hours hits, and then you're like, okay, like, is it going to happen? You start to think about like what this means as far as the things that you sometimes may have been taking for granted. And so I really want you, as we begin to close out this year in another 4 days, I want you to reflect on everything, right? There's some things that have taken place in your life that maybe you minimized. There are some things that maybe have taken place in your life that you have taken for granted. And when moments like this happen, and so I know that it has been like extremely, extremely cold all across the country. I have a best friend who lives in Charlotte, and it was like 11 degrees there. And so I know that, people have been, dealing with a lot, whether, we've been through COVID, we've been through, people, getting laid off, getting back to work. Like there've been all kinds of things that have been happening. People have been talking about a recession. And so one of the things that I know to be true is that God is faithful. One of the things that I know to be true is that, we are blessed. And sometimes we forget to think about all of the things that we have experienced, especially when hard times hit us and we end up kind of making our entire year or our entire experience based around that one thing. And so I want you to get your journals. Y'all know, as your coach, I'm always telling you to get your journal. And I really want you to think about like all of the amazing things that occurred this year, right? I really want you to take some time to reflect on it. Like, what did you do? What did you experience? How did it feel? Who were you with? Like all the things. And then I also want you to take some time and really talk about some things that maybe didn't go the way you wanted it to go. How did you feel in those moments, right? And in those moments, I want you to think about what are the things that you could still be grateful for despite those not so good things happening. Right. I want you to take some time really to reflect. Like we like to jump right into 2023. Like we ready, child. We got the goals ready. We got all the things ready, but I want you to reflect. I know during the time that we were without power, I was really talking to God and asking him how I needed to be able to move differently and what I needed to learn about this situation. Because, in some instances we were ready, and then in other instances we were not. And so when you think about life, right, not just the storm, maybe the storms of life, like what are the things that maybe you were ready for and the things that you were not ready for? What were the things that you were not prepared for? The things that maybe there were some posts that I saw on Facebook where people were saying like, we knew the storm was coming. We saw the warnings, but we didn't heed the warning, right? What were some of the warnings? What were some of the, kind of like when they say the writing on the wall? What's the writing on the wall that you ignored? And what are the things that you can possibly do differently in order to make sure that you don't hit that wall? Now, mind you, child, we can't determine when a winter storm is going to come, right? We don't know. But there are some things that we can do in order to better prepare, right? And so we're talking about mindset, we're talking about how we respond to things, we're talking about like our expectations, we're talking like all of the different things that we can control as it relates to us and the inner part of who we are, right? What are the things that we can control, right? We can control like what we spend our money on. We can control the things that the experiences that we have. We can control the people that we're around. We can control, how we connect with people, right? We can control like how to some extent we run our businesses and how we interact with people on our jobs. Like there's certain things that we can absolutely control. But even the things that we can't control, how can we prepare for those? What are the things that maybe you need to be mindful of going into the new year that you need to be prepared and ready for so that it's not a surprise? We can't always prepare for the surprise and be ready for the surprise, but in this time of reflection for 2022, I really want you to take some time to reflect on the good, the not so good, and then really how can you prepare for the things that maybe you were not prepared for, right? One of the things that I teach as a coach is to pay attention to the patterns. If you've been with me for any amount of time, you know that that's what I teach. If you're new, welcome to my world. But pay attention to the patterns. What things are happening over and over again? How are things showing up over and over again that you keep missing? It's kind of like the saying that the test will continue to show up until you pass it. If you keep failing the test, it'll keep showing up. What are the patterns that you keep missing that keep coming up, whether it's through people, whether it's through maybe lack of boundaries, whether it's through not being prepared for a thing? But what are the things that you need to be paying attention to so that you can be better prepared the next time it shows up and so that you can pass the test? And so there's so many other things that we can reflect on in 2022. And I would encourage you to just kind of think about that. I would even encourage you to take some time outside of that, is even think about what you want to experience in 2023. Set your level of expectation despite, right, things that may be happening right now in your life. Because sometimes it's like, well, I don't really have anything to look forward to because everything sucks right now. Well, things might be sucking right now, but it's not going to suck forever. And so, what is it that you can now start to set your expectation toward in 2023? What is it that you can start to say, you know what, I'm really excited about this, or I want to do more of this, or I want to experience more of this, or I want to spend more time with these people, right? Set the expectation now so that when you get into 2023, as Joyce Meyer says, where the mind goes, the man follows. So if you set the expectation and you set your mind on a thing, then now you're working towards that, as opposed to waiting until you get into 2023 and you're like, oh, well, I don't know. But what is it that you want to experience more of in 2023? And then what are you going to do in order to position yourself in order to experience it? So with that being said, that was today's tea. And I hope that you will take some time and you will get your journals out or get your phones out. And, one of the things that I think is really important, and the thing that it reminded me over the weekend, which I don't really have issues with, is quiet time and silence. And I would encourage you to start really getting comfortable sitting in silence, getting quiet, allowing your thoughts to just to flow, right? So that you can have free flow of how your thoughts are moving and flowing. And give yourself permission to not always have to be doing something. And so I was reminded, over the weekend while we were without, power and all of the things. And so I was writing by candlelight and just journaling and really processing my thoughts and, just reminding me how much I love writing, right? And just that I love my quiet time. And so I want to encourage you to get quiet over these next 4 days. Find some time to sit, cut the phone off or put it on do not disturb, cut the television off, cut the computer off, cut the people off. And find some time where you can just be. Find some time where you can just be and you can answer these questions and you can be, excuse me, real with yourself about what you experienced. What were the highs? What were the lows? What do you need to prepare for in 2023? Like, what did you miss, right? And then also, what are the things that you want to experience more of in 2023? And maybe you didn't even get a chance to experience it, but you want to experience it, right? So I pray that this was something that was helpful for you as we close out 2022 and this year's editions of Tuesday Tea with D. And I pray that you will join me starting January 1st for 21 days of prayer. I pray that you will really quiet yourself over these next few days as we position ourselves to hear from God for the first 21 days of the year. And then also, I want you to make sure that you get your ticket for I Speak Life Live 2023. And again, the information will be here on the screen or somewhere in a post with this video. And I look forward to seeing you next year at I Speak Life Live 2023. It's going to be amazing. Why? Because I just know that that's how God does things, right? He's not going to have us show up and he not show out, period. So, with that being said, thank you. Happy New Year, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all the things. And thank you for joining me for Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Ooh, that's good. Let me get another sip. Happy New Year.